I've been wanting to make this video for quite a while now, about what my experience was working for retail jobs or just one job. It was just it was just one job. But I just want to talk about not really the retail experience. Instead, I would rather tell you multiple stories and weird events that took place when working retail. You know, now these are going to be weird stories. I won't tell you about good people, mainly because the good people in these stories, they're just average everyday people buying stuff, nothing really special. Instead, I'm going to tell you some weird stories, weird stories that kind of reflect the world we live in, the society and the economy. It's just to give you some food for thought. And and the reason is because I mainly just been thinking about these experiences and what's been going on, and you know, I figured why not, right? So basically, right, when it came to the prepaid phones, we had, we would sell some prepaid phones. There was a lot of people who would come in, very shady people, shady, but I couldn't do nothing about it. I believe we had this one guy who was like a drug dealer. He would come in, he would buy in a ton of phones, it would just stacked up on each other, and you're probably thinking, what is he doing with all these phones? But again, they're prepaid, so probably some shady shit. I never questioned it. But aside from that one drug dealer, there was this, oh man, so there was like these prostitutes. Like there was one prostitute, and there was these other two. One of them came in. She was looking for these guys. They work on phones and whatnot. They're the ones that are allowed to handle the devices, not me. And one of the many requirements that she needed to get one of her like accounts or like a T-Mobile setup was that she needed an ID and a card. One thing that she says that really startled me was, my boss has my ID and he has a card. I was thinking to myself, why would your boss have your ID? That's your identification. And that's when it clicked. This lady was getting pimped out because it's like, you know what I mean? This, as a matter of fact, it was two women that said this. Two. And then there was another two a couple of days later, which I'll get into, but let's focus on for these first two. One of them was like shaking like crazy. She's like had a weird smell, like that kind of smell. Like it was a smell that was familiar to me because I remember walking one time. This one guy was smoking. I passed by him. He had like this weird smell. It wasn't like a cigarette smell. It wasn't even like a weed smell. It was just like, it was a chemical-ish smell. It smelled like shit, dude. Like not even shit. Like my nose was fucking burning. She had that same smell. I was like, are they fucking prostitutes? Are they pimping out? Like what the fuck? And it gets worse because the next day, these two other ladies come in. One of them recently got out of jail. She was looking for a phone. And then she goes on about how she needs a prepaid phone, how she has to get it set up. I help her out with that. I think some guy that she's hooking up with comes in to pay for the phone, but she starts like, I don't even know. One of them starts acting up. The lady gets choked out against the glass where we keep some phone cases. And then after that, she chases after him. And then I think me and my coworker look at each other and we're like, the things drugs will do to you. But we all knew that it was more than drugs. It's fucked up, really. They come back later, they act like nothing happened at all, which is ridiculous because you think security would do something, but no. And yeah, that's pretty much sums up the whole prostitute things. It's usually just a bunch of ladies just like who are either like in the worst condition and then just trying to buy a prepaid phone. I think when it comes to the drug addicts, there's like two people. Or no, it's three people. There's the prostitute lady. There was this other lady, which I'm gonna get into right now, who's a drug addict. So she was like tweaking, bro. She's like, I need a phone. I need a phone. She had like this weird smell as well. I'm like, what the fuck is this weird smell? Yo, I don't know what it is, bro. I've never smelled crack in my life, but it could have been crack. Could have been crack. It could have been that weird thing that they smoke out of a like a pipe. What's it called? It's like this thing like roach poison or rat poison. They smoke it out of a pipe, like TCD. I don't know what it's called. But bro, they always have this same weird ass smell. This lady was tweaking. She's like, I need a prepaid phone. Hurry, I need it quick. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? And this other guy, he got tackled by the police or by state patrol or whatever it is that the fucking call it here. State trooper. There you go, state trooper. So this guy, he's by the computer, like by the computer accessories aisle, and he's like playing around with the air cans. We're thinking, okay, he's just checking it out, but it starts getting worse. Apparently, he peels off the air can, starts like snorting the air, trying to get high off of it, or he was getting high off of it. This wasn't brought to our attention until a customer brings it up. He's like, "Hey, this guy's doing something weird over here," and then this another employee of mine sees him. That motherfucker starts running away. He's like, "Oh no, man, I don't know. Please just leave me alone." And he starts running for the entrance. Well, at least he starts speed walking and running. And then my coworker follows him, calls security, calls state trooper. They tackled him. They put him to the ground, and he's just locked up. Funny enough, that same night, I'm helping this lady bring out a cart. There's this big ass cart where we take TVs. I'm helping this lady bring out a big ass TV. I'm waiting there. That same state trooper tells the story about how he had to put a guy down who was getting high off of an air can. That was like, at first I thought the guy was just like tweaking on some shit already. He might have been stealing. But when it was brought to my attention that he was actually trying to get high off an air can, I was like, this is fucking sad. Like, holy shit, these guys will get high off of anything. So these last two stories are crazy. So, there's this old guy, comes in, he buys a prepaid phone. Yes, I don't know what it is, but these prepaid phones have a way of just bringing in the worst of the worst. This one guy, he comes in, he buys a prepaid phone, and I tell him I can't set him up, but he gets aggressive when buying this phone. He starts like grumbling, like whenever I tell him I can't do something. But then I was like, you could just set it up yourself. So luckily, he leaves. Nothing happens. The next day, he comes back. And he's like, look, I tried to set up this phone. It don't work. It don't work. And I said, he's like, can you help me? And I said, sir, I'm not allowed to handle phones. It's Walmart policy. He's like, what? What do you mean I paid for it? I paid for it. I was like, what? I was like, I want to speak to the manager. I was like, okay. Luckily, there was two managers. There was a store manager, and there was just a normal manager. So, as I send the guy to a normal manager, because I don't want him bothering the store manager. As I send him off to talk to the normal manager, he's just like, hey, I need this phone fixed. It's a guy in a wheelchair, and he needs his phone, and he's like, and the manager politely tells him, oh, I'm sorry, sir, but we don't deal with phones. It's not in our policy. And then he goes on to be like, what? Like, I don't even know what the fuck he was saying. He was just growling. He was just getting aggressive. He gets up from his wheelchair. Yeah, he gets up. Listen, bro, I don't know what he's got, but he got up from his wheelchair and he starts growling and screaming at them like a dog. And so, they're like, hey, we'll call the police. We'll call the police. Call the police, they start saying. Luckily, no, nah, never mind. Not luckily. It gets worse. Sorry if you can't hear me clearly. I'm outside telling this. I'm bored. I might as well just express myself when I'm outside. But like I was saying, he gets up, starts reaching for something in his sock. They run all the way to the very corner, calling the police. They went all the way to the corner, calling the police. Turns out the guy was just reaching for his wallet with a receipt. Me and the customer that I'm helping, I look at him, we look at each other, and we start laughing. And the laughing gets even worse when I told him that it was a store manager and the manager. And the guy's like, so they really just left you behind? And I was like, yeah, that's what they do best. And we start cackling, we start laughing. It just goes insane. And so the guy, he asked me where customer service is. I point him to the front. He goes all the way to customer service. Sadly, however, no, not sadly. I don't really feel bad for that guy. He was being a piece of shit. In the end, the guy ended up getting caught by the police. He was taken out. He was told to never come back. And that was the end of him. This next story it's just a rude ass customer who tried to cheat the system. So, we're helping out this guy in the morning. It's early as fuck in the morning. I don't want to put up with this. So, our register wasn't working, so we would have to go to this other section to check people out. This guy in the morning, he tried to negotiate with me. He was like, "Hey, any chance you could lower it for $4?" I saw that it was dislocated, it was displaced, it was right here. And I said, well, it depends. If it has a location already, no. If it doesn't have a location, then fine, I will lower the price. It had a location. And when I told him, I was like, hey, I can't lower the price because you could have been the one to displace it. It already has a place to go. There's not much I can do for you. He's like, well, can I speak to a manager? I said, fine. I go look for a manager. She speaks to him. She's like, go ahead and lower the price. I call over my coworker. I said, we got to lower this price. So as we're going to this section, the guy for some reason just stays there. I don't know. He doesn't follow us, and it's fine. It wasn't my part. And so as I go back to get him, I was like, hey, it's over here. We got to go over here. He's like, oh, yeah, yeah. And he's like, and as I get closer, he's like, well, you guys never told me to follow you. I was like, sir, my bad. We were just over here, and it's just, nothing crazy. He's like, okay, but you don't have to shout at me. He starts saying, he's like, you don't have to shout at me. You don't have to shout. Why are you being so mad at me for? Why are you loud? Have you been having a bad day? The guy was trying to gaslight me into believing that I was being a piece of shit. Even the guy, there was this other person who walked in. He's like, he's looking at me because he knows that the guy's trying to gaslight me. He's like, he's not a fucking idiot. He knows I'm not a fucking idiot. And I was like, no, sir, I'm having an okay day. It's just that, I'm just letting you know we have to. And he just makes it worse. He keeps going on and on and on, trying to gaslight me. And then what's even worse, right, is that as we get to the place to check him out, I then have to call for my manager because the guy was like, I want to speak to a manager. I called for the manager. Luckily, the manager that was here was the manager for electronics. By the way, he does a shitty job. The most two-faced motherfucker. He is one of those customer-pleasing dickhead managers. I'm sorry. If you're a customer and you're going to complain like that and your manager starts siding with you even though you're the piece of shit, fuck you. I hate customer-pleasing managers. These guys are fucking dickheads. But, it's not much I could have done about it. I'm just an employee there. Whatever, right? I'm disposable. At least in their eyes, I am. But I call over the manager at the register. We're like, listen. He starts telling his story. He goes on and on and on and on. And he starts bringing up the fact that he was in the military and this and that. And I'm like, dude. And I'm like, and it's funny too, because when I make my counter argument, I'm like, hey, so he's just trying to gaslight me. He's literally trying to gaslight me. You can see that. I'm not disrespecting him. And you know what? Even if, military veteran or not, that doesn't give you an excuse to gaslight people to lower a price for a product. Mind you, it costed around $24, would have went up to $25, and he wanted to buy it for $20. That's fine. But I wasn't gonna say no to him. It's just I was following policy. But when you start doing shit like that, it just makes me not feel bad for you. It's just like, dude, I'm not even disrespecting you. I'm just I was being okay. It was until this guy started saying bullshit and bullshit this, bullshit that, starts trying to gaslight me into believing that I'm the one at fault, that I'm the one having a bad day, therefore I'm guilty. That's not how that works, dude. People know when they're having a bad day and people know when they're having a good day. I'm not delusional. I know when I'm having a good day and I know when I'm having a bad day. Yes, there are bad moments, but that's not going to bring my entire day down. And I'm just pissed at this dude. I'm pissed, but you know what? I walk away. My manager tells me to walk away. That's fine. I go help somebody out. They're being chill. My manager comes back. He doesn't say anything. He just looks at me and he laughs because he knew that the customer was bullshitting. Because my counter argument before, my argument in the beginning, because it wasn't really counter argument, but it was more like setting up the counter argument when the guy started speaking. I told my story. I talk about how he tries to gaslight me with his worst experiences, trying to make me believe that I'm the bad guy and I'm having a bad day. And then what's funny enough is that the guy proves my point. And another thing was I was making these faces, these fed up faces, because it's dude, I'm fucking fed up with you. You know what I mean? Of course I'm gonna make faces. And he's like, what's that face for? What's that face for? Geez, buddy, it's called making a fucking expression. You ever heard of it? It's what human beings do. I'm a fucking human being. Yeah, I work for a fucking retail store. It doesn't mean I'm not human. Holy shit. These people believe, right, that those who work retail or any place, like restaurant workers, they're just robots, mindless robots. Like, buddy, no. No, I'm a human fucking being. Of course I'm gonna make expressions. Like, who do you like? What the fuck? Luckily, however, he paid for his thing and he left. The price was lowered to $20. Turns out the guy was trying to cheat the system simply so that he could pay with a $20 Walmart gift card that was given to him. How fucking lame do you have to be to cause the scene? Just so that can be paid off with a $20 gift card. That is so lame. But you know what? You know what? All of these experiences as a whole have taught me one thing. They're simply just a reflection of our system. Mind you, the guy was apparently he says that he was a veteran. A veteran. So the fact is, we live in a time where veterans are going homeless and almost broke. You know, people are being unemployed. People are losing their houses. No, there's, you know what I mean. The economy is terrible. Things are just getting more expensive. It's really just a reflection of our system. It's really what it is. Nobody would be out here fighting to lower a price down $4 if it was that big of a deal. But the fact that we've gotten to this point where people try to get at any kind of discount, a couple cents off their groceries, I kid you not, I've seen people celebrate all because they got like what, $5 discounts on their groceries. It's crazy. It's so bad that I've seen people buy open chicken. So there was this chicken that was reduced price simply because it was opened and somebody bought it. Even though you don't know what's wrong with the chicken, somebody bought it anyways. That's how you know we are not in a good place right now. But it is what it is. There's not much I could have done about it. I no longer work there. I'm okay. It's fine. I'm still trying to find work, but in the end, the only thing you can do is hope for the best and stay positive. I'm only making this because I wanted to express, the things that have been going on in my head. I think it's good to open up about some of your worst experiences and let that get off your chest. So, thank you.